thank you for joining me to talk about your latest rom-com. I'm so
Thank
excited.
you. I am so excited.
I am loving the fact that we are getting the 90s rom-com feels back.
I got you, girl.
Yeah. So this one definitely had a really good mix of self-discovery. We had, of course, mystery and comedy, and then our romance. Plus, you've got Malta. So, what was it that drew you to Annie for this movie?
Oh man. Well, you will understand this as a fellow Minnesotan. There's just something that read and they wrote in that she's from Minnesota,
Hmm.
after I think light digging on my bio. And it's very good because I definitely have an accent when I'm tired. Especially that I was glad to not have to sort of keep an ear to while we were filming.
Hmm.
There's a sort of, like you said, apologetic nature to Annie. She just doesn't want to be in anyone's way. She doesn't want to sort of disturb the process or inconvenience anyone. She's just, she thinks of it as being kind or practical. But really, she just has trouble taking up space in the world.
Mm.
And what she learns is that through, human connection and being a little bit less afraid to put herself out there in terms of what she wants, that a lot more of life is just plain possible.
I definitely felt like there was what I'm seeing more and more, and I'm loving this, is that we're seeing more of the guys' journeys in these
Mm,
movies too. And
yeah,
so not only do we
yeah,
have Annie's discovery, and of course the background of it being a self-discovery retreat, and even if you're
yes.
there on work, Jake still has that where he's listening to everything. What was something that you were surprised about that they included in his story?
Okay, I love that you said that. I love that you flagged it, and you're completely right. And some of my favorite rom-coms, now that I think of it, are from a guy's perspective because
Hmm.
I don't mean to speak for all women, I'll just speak for myself, but sometimes I look at a lot of guys and just go, what on earth are you thinking in there? Like, just
Hmm.
what is your experience? And so when writers can kind of accurately sort of capture a typical a male experience, even from a rom-com lens. I really kind of love it. I love High Fidelity. I love I Say Anything, so many of
Mm.
these movies. And so including Jake's storyline in this one, I feel like was such a smart move. And Luke is really good at conveying things that are below the surface. He has one of those good
Hmm.
actor faces where you go, oh, I wonder what he's thinking about. You know what I mean?
Oh, gee. So this was your first time that you were able to work with Luke. So what's
Yeah.
something that you learned about him that maybe other people would be surprised to learn?
Luke, he just knows how to deliver on all levels. He's really good at blocking a scene. He will just come in with a lot of ideas. He's not afraid of having a lot of different marks to hit. He's really good with the physicality of things. He, objected to zero stunts or any physical difficulty that was asked of him throughout the shoot. I was like, you're making me look bad over here. I don't want to go in the cold pool. I look over, he's already in the pool. It's just like, oh, God, you're good. So let me think. What's something that people don't know about Luke? Sometimes he doesn't know when he's hungry, but I was just like, I know we've been here all morning and there hasn't been any food. I was like, I know you're hungry before you know you're hungry. That's the only thing that might be a surprise. And it's generally a surprise to him too.
That's fair. Let me say I definitely am an Annie with too nice. Well, I don't want to say too nice because I don't think that there's a time to be too nice. I mean, we are Minnesotan after all, but
Indeed.
I do feel like, one of the lines that really got to me was like making your own lane. Do you move on the sidewalk? And I was like, well, yeah,
Mm,
that's just kind. And
yeah.
then, but when you really think about it, like I was thinking, this is such a perfect movie for January, just
Mm.
because we're all, you've got your goals that you're working on at this point, your self-discovery aspects of, I was like, perfect timing. And then of course, who doesn't want to be in a warm Malta? But
Completely. Yeah, it was a perfect time to have been there. But I'm glad that that resonated with you because, yeah, the character, I felt like the writer really captured the sentiment that you and I share about, just sort of putting kindness above sort of all else is sort of exalted where we're from, and it's a very
Mm-hmm.
virtuous thing. I actually read a book that helped me a lot. Not that you need to read this, but my character in the movie would have benefited from it. It's called Not Nice, and it's
Oh.
about how it's essentially like clear is kind. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you don't want to be dating someone or good friends with someone who you don't really love, like you're wasting their time. If you're with them and you wish you weren't, you're keeping them from the person who they deserve to find. If someone
Mm-hmm.
has a idea you don't like at work, don't glad hand somebody and then like trash talk it later and then they find out and you've wasted everyone's time. Like it's about how clarity is actually the kinder thing to do, and it really helped me a lot actually.
Oh, no, I actually think I'll be reading that because I
You
do
might
feel
like
like
it.
it took a while to get to be able to have for me to have my own voice.
Mm,
And it does. Because it helps you to choose what your path you're going to be and what do you want is a question I think we forget to ask ourselves. And I
yeah.
love that that was asked of Annie.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right because so often the word want feels like a luxury, right? It
Mm-hmm.
feels like we're all in survival mode of various flavors.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's really cool that she gets to have such a proactive and spontaneous and incredible journey.
To me, this was, and I don't know if I have the same feeling, but I felt it was a perfect mixture of rom-com from like the 90s with a lot of the physical comedy. But the other part that really kind of resonated with me was that it had that 1940s or even maybe a 20s, like black and white, of course, with the mystery caper. And for me, a lot of that had to do with the supporting. You were surrounded by a fantastic supporting cast and their stories. So for viewers, what is something that you would really like people to notice from their stories?
I mean, you could watch this movie just for the supporting cast, and I think many people will. You don't have to be a
Hmm.
big fan of me or Luke MacFarlane to enjoy it because it's such a true ensemble. We have an incredible cast of ridiculously beautiful and insanely talented international actors from London, Italy, Spain. Absolutely everywhere, and all of them get like a very cool backstory and motivations as to
Hmm.
why they would have been the people behind our mystery at hand. So yeah, sorry, I
Oh, no,
forget what
no, no,
the
no.
original
Continue. I'm
question was.
sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, no, I was just, that is definitely what I agree with you that they all had their own unique story. It blended in perfectly with the main story. And then I just like each one of their stories reminded me of another character from another movie that you're like, oh my gosh, I loved that and remembered that. So the writer did a fantastic blend of it.
absolutely. I felt every day that I was on set with that cast, I remember wanting to impress them and have them thinking that, I deserve to be in a movie with them because they're just so like accomplished.
Mm.
It was great company to be in.
So let's talk a little bit about wardrobe. Okay, Annie had amazing wardrobe. What were some of your favorite pieces?
Okay, I mean, I don't want to say we jumped the shark, but I feel like my favorite outfit was that first one. It's like that red
Mm-hmm.
two-piece number. Not two-piece bathing suit. I don't need to, someone else can handle that. But it's sort of like the mullet of outfits because in the front it's a skirt, but then it sort of wraps around to also be like a long flowing skirt that like kind of moves when it catches the wind. It should
Mm-hmm.
not work, but the whole thing's red. And after you're in your, 40 something years of life, you start appreciating a matching set. And that's where I'm at right now. Takes out the guesswork. I love a red moment for drama, so that's probably my
Mm-hmm.
favorite. But yeah, I definitely made off with some of those outfits. They fell into my suitcase somehow.
If they didn't, it was going to be a shame. One of my that was definitely my top fave. My second one was actually the blue and white ensemble.
Oh, thank you.
So
That
cute.
is from H&M. I brought that myself because I
Oh,
thought, I don't know how big this Malta place is. What if they don't, have a mall there? Dummy, Rachel. Of course they have a great mall there. But I was just
yeah.
like, who knows? I'll bring some favorites in case like the colors we need are out of season because that can happen a
Hmm.
lot. Like when we make Christmas movies, it can be really hard to find like red and green sweaters and stuff in the
Yeah.
middle of summer. Not that we film them in summer, but like that's where the incoming stock is. Sorry, that's desperately uninteresting.
No, it isn't because you also, and we only have a few minutes left, but you were in a movie in Duluth. And so
Yes.
and that was actually one of my favorite ones of that year. So
I'm so glad.
I love that we're getting Minnesota on the map in different ways. And then that one, if I'm not mistaken, was filmed in the summer as they usually are.
I am so lucky that we did not film that in the summer.
Oh,
We
it
did
wasn't. Okay.
not know. We actually filmed that from March into May. So there's a
Mm,
little bit of snow on the ground that we managed to capture for the exteriors. And then by the end, classic Minnesota, it was 80 degrees.
yeah. But I want like that's always the place that we tell people about is Duluth. And
Oh,
so
it's
I
so
was
great. I
just
love
like,
Duluth and Stillwater. I feel like is a can't miss.
oh, yes. You were able to represent the holiday rom-coms on The Weakest Link. You were with Luke and Jonathan and Melissa Joan Hart. So, are you a gamer? And how was that experience for you?
I was holding on for dear life, Catherine. I was so scared the whole time. I said yes to the invitation to go on the show, and then I realized like people might realize how little I know in a very public forum. I was like,
Mm.
I've made a huge mistake. I remember I could not, under pressure, granted, identify the Goodyear logo, which is mortifying to me. That I didn't realize that there was a visual aid, and they just said a tire with wings, and you're like, yeah, dummy, Goodyear. But I was very scared. I remember that I even one time identified Luke as the weakest link, but I was just trying to get him out of there because he was so good at the game. So yeah, I'm not even sure who won. I don't think I've seen the
I
episode, but I know it was not me.
I can't remember who won now, but it was actually just one of my favorites because, and well, I will say, in all fairness, it seems like the questions are a little off balanced. Somebody gets a
Interesting.
super easy question, and then somebody gets a Goodyear logo. So,
Let's go with that, Catherine.
got your
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. I bet either Tay Diggs won it or Melissa Joan Hart. Those two are running the
No,
table.
nope,
No.
nope,
Was it the Santa Claus kid?
nope.
Who was it? Now I
I
gotta
don't know.
look.
I'm gonna have to go and rewatch, and then I'll
We
send you
gotta
a DM.
rewatch it now. Thank you.
So, and then for final question, your favorite rom-com.
Oh man, my favorite rom-com. I gotta say, my favorite, and I love that this movie, like you said, features a male perspective, but I have such a soft spot for Say Anything.
Mm-hmm.
Movies where people have to get out of their own way always really resonate with me for reasons I'll bring up later with my therapist. But that's just such a special movie. Uh, The Breakfast Club in its own way. I don't know. I don't know. Notting Hill. It's kind of a perfect movie.
I'm gonna say all
The
great options.
Holiday. Yes, there's
Yeah,
too many to choose from, right?
I agree with you. Well, thank you, Rachel, for spending this time with me. This was a blast.
I had the best time. Always good to meet a fellow Minnesotan, Catherine.